My husband said he needed space and would stay at a friend's place. I replied calmly, started filing for divorce, and sent his belongings to his friend's door. When he realized what I'd done, his desperate early morning plea shocked me. But what he confessed after was even bigger. My husband said it like he was telling me he needed milk from the store. We were in the kitchen, the cheap overhead light flickering because our landlord never fixed it, and he was leaning against the counter with his keys already in his hand. "I think I need some space," he said. "I'm gonna stay over at Ryan's for a while." My first thought wasn't heartbreak. It was the rent. It was the power bill on the fridge with the red stamp. It was the pharmacy receipt in my purse from picking up my antidepressants the day before because my insurance kept trying to pretend my doctor didn't exist. But I didn't let any of that show. I wiped my hands on the dish towel and looked at him like I was hearing the weather. "Hey," I said. He blinked like he'd expected me to cry or yell or beg. He'd been living off my reactions for years. I didn't give him one. I just nodded and turned back to the sink. He left in a hurry. I heard his truck start, heard it back out over the loose gravel, heard the muffler rattle down the street. I waited until the sound was gone. Then I leaned over the sink and threw up. Not because I was surprised, but because my body had been holding that moment in for a long time. After I rinsed my mouth, I opened my laptop at the kitchen table and searched uncontested divorce filing county, like I was looking for a coupon. My hands were steady. The calm felt foreign, like I'd borrowed it from someone stronger. I filled out the forms that night, slow and careful, checking boxes while a siren wailed somewhere outside. I didn't tell anybody. Not my mom. Not my two closest friends at work who'd watched me walk around with gray shadows under my eyes for months. I didn't need a committee. I needed out. 2 days later I took a half day off and drove to the courthouse. The parking lot was full of people in wrinkled clothes and tired faces. I sat in my car for a minute with my forehead on the steering wheel. I thought about the first time I'd been there 10 years ago, holding his hand and laughing because we'd gotten lost inside the building. We were broke then too, but it was a sweeter kind of broke. Back when he looked at me like I was a person, not a safety net. Inside, I stood in line, paid the fee I could barely afford, and handed my papers to the clerk. She was maybe my age, wearing bright blue nails and a lanyard with little cartoon dogs on it. She didn't smile, but her voice was gentle. "You want to keep your name change request in there?" she asked. "Yes," I said. My mouth felt dry. "I want my old name back." "Hey, you're good. You'll get a case number in the mail." I walked out with my knees shaking, not from fear but from the weird lightness of doing something final. That evening I went to Target and bought plastic bins with lids. I told myself I was organizing. I didn't say the real words out loud yet. At home I opened the closet and started pulling his stuff out piece by piece. Hoodies that smelled like engine oil and beer. The leather boots he never cleaned but bragged about. The framed photo from our wedding that had sat crooked on the dresser ever since he slammed the drawer one winter morning and cracked it. I packed carefully, not violently. I folded shirts the way I used to when I still cared if he had clean clothes for work. I labeled bins with a black marker, Ryan's house. I even wrapped the glass stuff in old towels. I was not going to be the kind of woman they could call crazy and use as a story later at parties. When the last bin was sealed, I loaded them into my trunk. Our car was mine, bought with my credit card after his got repossessed. I drove across town to Ryan's place in a subdivision where all the lawns looked like someone had ironed them. I didn't go inside. I wasn't there for a talk. I stacked the bins on his front porch in the neatest row I could manage and took a photo on my phone. I rang the doorbell twice and left. On the drive home I expected some big wave of guilt to hit me. Instead I felt the same calm humming through me like a low engine. I rolled down the window and let cold air slap my face. I realized I hadn't taken a full breath in a long time. He didn't call that night. I figured he was sleeping on Ryan's couch, probably complaining about me with a beer in his hand. I'd heard those stories secondhand before, how I was too sensitive, always stressed, no fun anymore. Like debt collectors and panic attacks were my hobbies. At 4:12 a.m., my phone exploded with a call. I stared at the screen glowing in the dark. His name. I let it ring twice before I answered, not because I was playing a game but because I needed to hear my own breathing first. "What?" I said. "These boxes." His voice was thin. I could hear wind or maybe his truck window open. "What the hell, Claire? Did you seriously do this?" "Yes." "Where are you?" "Home. There's papers in one of them." Divorce papers. Yes. He went quiet for a second. Then he let out a sound that wasn't quite a laugh and wasn't quite a sob. Claire, come on. I didn't mean. I just needed a break. I wasn't leaving you. I almost told him the truth right there, that he'd been leaving me in pieces for years. That he'd left me when he started hiding his paycheck. When he started staying out late and blaming me for asking where he'd been. When he let me take a second job at the dental office to cover his tool payments, then called me money-obsessed, when I asked him to stop buying crap online. But I didn't. I let him talk. Please, he said. Can we just meet and talk? This is insane. No, I said. You said you needed space. I'm giving it to you. His breathing got rough. You don't understand what's going on. Oh, I understand fine. Claire, listen. I'm not at Ryan's. I haven't been. That landed hard. My stomach tightened. Then where are you? I asked quieter. He swallowed. I've been staying at a motel off Route 9. The one by the storage place. Why? For a month. He rushed the words like if he said them fast enough they'd turn into something else. I've been seeing someone. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought if I eased out it'd be less ugly. The quiet after that was huge. I could hear a dog barking far away through my open bedroom window, could hear my own heartbeat. I wasn't shocked exactly. I'd felt it in the way he'd turned his phone face down. In the sudden gym habit at 42. In the way he'd stopped meeting my eyes during dinner. Still hearing it like that is different. A bruise you've been pressing suddenly gets punched. Who? I asked. He hesitated. It's your sister. For a second I thought he must have said the wrong word. Like maybe he meant someone named Sis. But he didn't correct himself. He just kept breathing on the line in a way that sounded scared. Dawn. I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine. Yeah. I sat up in bed so fast my head spun. Dawn lived 20 minutes away with her husband and 2 kids. Dawn who used to come over for Sunday chili. Dawn who borrowed my blazer last summer for a job interview and hugged me afterward saying, I don't know what I'd do without you. Dawn who'd texted me heart emojis when I complained about my marriage. Dawn who'd cried with me in the hospital waiting room when Dad died, leaning her head on my shoulder like we were still girls. When? I said. Since March. I swear it wasn't supposed to happen. It just did. My mouth was cold. You're disgusting. I know, he said. I know. That's why I couldn't stay. I couldn't look at you. I felt like I was dying in your house. You were dying because you were a coward, I said. He started crying then, real crying, not the kind he did when he wanted sympathy. I don't want to lose you. You're my family. I looked at the ceiling, at the crack in the plaster that he promised to patch 2 winters ago and never did. I felt something shift in me like a lock turning. It wasn't rage. Rage had been living in me forever. This was something cleaner. A final kind of knowing. You already did, I said. You lost me a long time ago. Can we? No. We're done. Don't come here. Don't call me again unless it's about paperwork. He kept breathing like he was trying to find another door. I didn't give him one. I hung up. I didn't sleep after that. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table and watched the sky go from black to gray. My hands were shaking now, but it was the shake of waking up, not collapsing. I texted my sister a single line, I know. Then I blocked her number before she could respond. By noon I'd called a lawyer for a free consult, updated my direct deposit so my paycheck went to a new account, and asked my manager if I could pick up extra shifts. She didn't pry. She just squeezed my shoulder and said, whatever you need, we'll figure it out. That night my mom came over with a casserole she'd probably made in a panic. I told her everything at my table, the same one where I'd signed my forms. He cried loud and angry like thunder. I didn't cry at all. I felt hollow but not empty. More like a room after you've dragged heavy furniture out and you can finally see the floor again. Over the next week there were messes I couldn't control. Family calls. Dawn's husband showing up at my door with bloodshot eyes asking if it was true. Telling him yes. Watching him walk back to his truck like he was twice his age. The neighborhood gossip that always finds women first. I let it roll past me. People could think what they wanted. I'd spent too long worrying about keeping a picture straight while my house was burning. One evening, a few days after the call, I went to the laundromat with a sack of bedding and sat by the spinning machines. A woman I didn't know, older, hair in a messy bun, wearing scrubs, sat next to me and offered me a peppermint from her pocket. "Long day?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. She nodded like she understood. She didn't ask for details. She just sat there with me, quiet and steady. I took the peppermint and let it melt on my tongue, sharp and sweet at the same time. My chest hurt, but I could breathe. When I got home, my apartment felt strange without his stuff, but also lighter. I walked from room to room and noticed things I hadn't in a while. The way the late summer light hit the wall by the couch, the soft thump of my upstairs neighbor's kid running around, the silence that belonged only to me. I won't pretend it turned into some movie ending. I still had bills. I still woke up sometimes with my heart racing, reaching for a body that wasn't there. But every day I made a small choice that was mine. A new lock. A cheaper phone plan. A long walk after work instead of rushing home to manage his mood. I started cooking for myself again, real meals, not whatever was fast between arguments. I got my old last name back on my badge. Seeing it there felt like meeting myself after years apart. The morning the divorce was finalized, I stood on the courthouse steps with a paper in my hand and my stomach full of nerves. The clerk from before saw me in the hallway and gave me a tiny smile this time, like she knew what it took to get there. Outside, my phone buzzed with a text from Ryan, of all people. "Hey. Just wanted to say I'm sorry for what he did. You didn't deserve any of it." I stared at that message longer than I expected. Not because it fixed anything, but because it was proof that even in the wreckage people could still show up decent. I walked to my car and sat for a minute with the paper on the passenger seat. The world didn't look different. The same gas station across the street, same pigeons fighting over a French fry in the parking lot, same sun beating down on the cracked sidewalk. But I felt different inside it. Like I wasn't bracing anymore. Like the worst thing had already happened and I was still standing. I started the engine, turned on the radio and pulled out into traffic. I didn't know exactly what came next. I just knew it would be mine. And for the first time in years that felt like enough.